And you're nearing the end here. I think you guys have, what, 3 more classes to go. You have Thanksgiving break off, and then you got like a couple classes, and then you're in holidays. It's amazing how fast time flies.
Yeah.
Nora tells me she loves this class, loves teaching you guys, and is kind of working through some interesting stuff, including this, IOP, whatever that means.
IOPPC.
IOPPC, tell me what it means. Quick, Louise, what's I?
Opposing,
Intro.
Pro 1, Pro 2, and conclusion.
Boom!
Okay, intro, opposing, pro, conclusion. And that's all about how to do what, Mary Jane?
ACT and the SAT.
Okay, doing what there?
Summary. Right now.
Not the whole thing, writing a response on that test that is what kind of writing, hint, something on this list.
Argument.
Persuasive.
Persuasive.
Who said? Jose. Persuasive writing, which basically means what?
Argument. Like
Okay.
persuading someone to your point.
That's right. You got an opinion about something, you're trying to convince other people. Politicians, their whole job in life is to go around trying to convince people that they're right about something, right? Like right now, President Obama is arguing with the Congress about what topic? Immigration, that's right. And so a lot's happening. There's always arguments. It's all about persuading. So you guys have done a lot of good work, I hear, in terms of persuasive writing, which is great preparation on top of what you're doing in school for the ACT, SAT, and all that stuff. I'm here to talk with you a little bit about the oral, side of persuasion, which is basically how to convince somebody you're right by talking with them, rather than just in writing. How many of you remember 2012 presidential election? Did you watch any of that? Do you remember at one point President Obama got up and debated the guy who was the candidate against him, running against him? His name was Mitt Romney. And they got up and they had this big debate back and forth over a whole bunch of issues, like immigration, the Keystone Pipeline, and a whole lot of other things. And then after they debated 2 or 3 times, the people all voted. And of course, Obama won that election. But he's still fighting on a lot of those issues, trying to convince people of the rightness of his position. And that's basically what you need to learn, what skill you need to learn in addition to writing. And it's not necessarily about you're always right. When you argue with parents, for example, usually you're always right, right? Pretty much they're most of the time wrong, right?
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
Even if you're right, she's right.
This is more about how you're able to look at 2 sides of an argument, and sometimes that are really, really close, that are super close, you can almost feel like I can flip a coin, but that are just far enough apart to where you sort of say, okay, for these reasons, I'm going to pick this up. And that's what a debate is about, and that's what ultimately persuasive is writing about. Is writing about. So really, debating is the same thing as persuasive speaking. It's the same thing. When you hear a debate, sometimes it makes you nervous. How many, anybody here is nervous about speaking in public? Okay, when I first started doing this,
Come on.
all of you, not all of you guys, some of you.
Ruben here.
Hi, Ruben. It can be nerve-wracking to speak in public. So the way to get around, one way to get around that is to get ready by preparing. A second way is to just do it repeatedly, over and over. This is a very general kind of outline in the same way that this is. You can do this several different ways. But this is a general outline about how to debate. And here's how it goes. You have a question. You're going to have 2 questions today that you guys can prepare for. One has to do with starting the high school day later. Flavio, would you like that? Like school, what time does your school start right now?
7:50.
Whoa!
That is early. That's one question. The second question has to do with whether or not there should be things like the ACT test or SAT test as a part of college admissions. So some of you have an opinion about that already, right? So you're gonna get to choose, all of you collectively, whether to debate one topic or the other as we prepare here. And this is how the debate structure is going to work. You'll have your question, same as your intro. What's the question you're answering? Okay, the question is, should the high school day around the United States start later than it does now? Anybody know what the average start time of a high school is in the United States?
7:30.
Who said 8? Okay, she's almost right. It's 7:59. They didn't say. It had to be 7:59, right? Which just tells you. Now, how many of you at 7:59 are totally wide awake, ready to roll? You kind of, Emily? Anybody else?
I wake up at 7:30.
If you have coffee, most of us, like I'm not. If I have coffee, I'm sort of okay. When I was a teenager, no way. So, that's going to be your question, one of your questions you can choose from. The way it's structured is this. There's opening arguments from two sides. There's going to be one side of you that's going to say, yes, start the day earlier, and the other side of you is going to say, no, don't start the day earlier, and I'm not going to actually do it by dividing the room, we'll do it a different way. The side in favor of it is going to start off with basically 2 to 3 minutes of reasons to start the day earlier. And then the side against it will do the opposite. Then you're going to know what's called rebuttal. What does it mean to rebut? You know that word, right? What's it mean to rebut? Huh?
To go against.
To go against, okay. Specifically, to bump up against, basically, to resist is what the word means. And so you're resisting by rebutting. In other words, talking about why the other side is wrong. So if you think about a debate, first part is why I'm right. Second part is why you're wrong. Why I'm right, then you're wrong. Last part, conclusions and questions. So this is where you sort of wrap it up again in a nice little package to hand to someone, because again, you're trying to persuade them, and you're going to reiterate, which means to restate why you open saying what I'm for. And you're also going to recapitulate or say again why the other side is wrong in your conclusion, and you're going to respond to questions that the other side has. That was when the debate with Obama and Romney got really interesting. It wasn't so much when they were just blah, 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 it was when they got questions and they had to respond to it. So, okay? So that's question one of a possible 2 questions for you to debate. Should standardized tests be used by colleges in the future for admissions, or should they be eliminated, got rid of, and other things considered? Grades being a big one, others being, other activities that one does, and your background, and so forth. Okay? All right. Second question. We got that question? Anybody have questions about that one, that topic? Okay, read the second one. Who's reading the second one? Those, Ellie.
A recent study confirmed that the average American teenager is sleep deprived, getting about 6.5 hours per night. Only about half of teens regularly get the recommended 8 hours a night. Medical researchers, as well as a growing number of parents and educators, would like to address this by starting high school much later than 7:59 a.m., the average starting time in the U.S. Some school districts have moved their time back, but most have not. Districts opposed to moving back start times say that the logistical, transportation, and culture changes are not impossible to make it work. The few districts that have moved the start of the school day argue that all of these challenges can be overcome and that a later start brings significant health benefits, not to mention increasing engagement with learning. Do you believe that high school should change their starting times to at least 1 hour later than the average?
So if the average now is 7:59, what are we talking about as a proposal or question here? Bro.
8:59.
Could be 8:59, right? Let's say 9 o'clock, roughly. A school district in Florida and one in Wyoming, out in the middle of nowhere, not the middle of nowhere, a place called Jackson, Wyoming, changed their hours to 10 a.m. start.
To what time?
10 a.m. start. But they are the only major school districts in the country that have done that. Now, why? How many of you get more, would you say, or maybe you don't know, more than 6.5 hours of sleep at night?
I can't.
You do, Emily? Yeah.
See, that's why you be well rested and ready to go to school.
Most ninth graders get more sleep than most 11th graders
I get no sleep.
because
They don't get all the sleep.
they tend to have more homework in ninth grade.
And
Right? Mary Jane, you have more homework now than you had when you were in ninth grade?
I am in ninth grade.
Oh, wait a minute, Pearl, you have more homework now than when you were in ninth grade. You're in 11th grade, right? You have more homework now than when you were in ninth?
Yes.
Okay, so you got more work to do, basically, right?
Yes.
Other things obviously get in people's way, like having to take buses and work, or maybe take care of siblings. Any of you have to take care of like siblings and take your time? Okay. Yeah. So,
But if they started at 10 in the morning, what time did they end in Wyoming?
well, if they end at 3 now, they're gonna end at 5. Now, try to lay down at 10:30, forget it. Right? You're like, you're right away. Well, that is a normal biological occurrence with teenagers because of the way your body is working in terms of hormones and other things. So it's very common for teenagers to stay up until midnight because they just can't sleep. So to get up then, what time do you have to get up, Flavio, to go be at school at 7:15?
Yeah, like at 6:40.
6, oh, that's pretty good, actually.
It's quick.
Well,
I just
to get up at 6:40, for most teenagers, for my kid I know is 6:30, he gets up at 6:30, which I think is kind of late, but he does it. Kind of late.
I wake up.
These guys have, a lot of them have really long bus rides.
Yeah, so it's hard. So the question is, should schools move that back? Now, this is the way we're going to approach it. We're going to break up into 2 groups. And we can do it by doing numbers, or we can just, we can do half the room like we would at the beginning, but we can do that. So you 5 are going to be on one side, and you 5 on the other of whatever question is. But right now, you're going to take a vote, and it can't be 5 to 5. Just listen, you're going to take a vote on which one you want to do. Remember, first question is, should standardized tests be eliminated in college admissions? Second question is, should the school day start later for high schools, an hour later than normally at least, which would be about 9 o'clock? Okay? All those in favor of the first question about standardized testing, raise your hand if you want to do that one. Not everyone.
That's the thing.
Oh, Louise.
Okay. All right, so that makes it easy.
You gotta take it.
Now, here's what's going to happen. You're going to get in your groups, and 2 of you are going to have this role of doing opening arguments, and you're going to share them, and you're going to each do basically 2 minutes. 2 and 2 equals 4. You're going to do a 4-minute opening argument why your side is right, whatever side you end up with, and I'll get to that in a second. Okay? So there'll be 2 people. So out of this group, maybe it's Mary Jane and Pearl who are doing the opening. Okay? Or whoever you guys figure out. Then side 1 will do theirs, then side 2. Then we'll get to rebuttals. Same thing. 2 people will do that for 4 minutes, or shorter, actually, I'll say 3 to 4 minutes. And 2 other people, in other words, everybody's going to have to speak. And finally, 1 person right here is going to do conclusion, and then everybody will respond to questions. Now, we're not modeling, I'm not going to, normally I model this for you, to show you a little demo of how this works with a different problem. We're going to just wing it a little bit here. So, I'm going to give you, you're going to break into your groups, and I'm going to give you a sheet, not only that has the question on it, you don't have the right one, right? But that also has the arguments, some arguments, not all arguments, some arguments on both sides of this issue. And you're not going to each have one of these, you're going to share them because you're going to read them to each other after you've decided on your goals. So the first thing to do, you pick who is going to do these roles. Who are the 2 people doing the opening? Who are the 2 people doing the rebuttal? And who is the 1 person doing the conclusion? Now keep in mind, everybody has to, not only when you're doing debating, not only have to be a good speaker or try to develop your speaking skills well, but most importantly, you gotta be a good listener. Because when the people are doing the opening argument, are talking about why their side is right, you as a rebuttal person, if that's you, you have to be thinking why their side is wrong and come up with a zinger. What's a zinger?
Fun joke.
It could be a joke, but it's also a good point you make to go back at them. So for example, I come up and I'm in the rebuttal group and I say, well, you heard Pearl say in relation to starting the school day later that blank.
You don't know if
Ruben, you catching me?
Yeah.
So, that person would say, let me tell you why Pearl was not right. She wouldn't use Pearl's name necessarily, but just say why that argument is not correct. Okay? So, what we're going to aim for today is about 10 minutes of you reading these arguments, charting out your little notes that you write down. They're going to help you speak. You're not writing a script. What's the difference between a script and notes, Louise?
Not trying to 40 things and script is like, oh.
Yeah, what you don't want is this for a debate. I am in favor of extending the school or starting the school day later because it would be very good for students' circadian rhythms. Teenagers, but right, that's not really a good debate. That doesn't have any liveliness to it. It's kind of flat. It's like a soda that doesn't have any carbonation.
You sure
You
you
know
don't
what I
want to do a quick model?
Think of what?
You guys want us to do a quick model of it?
Yes.
Why don't we do this? I want you guys we will do a little modeling, but first I want you to get into groups, decide on your roles. We're going to add, what's your name?
Lydia, she can right
Lydia.
there.
Yeah, she can go right there. She'll join this group. And we'll have two conclusion persons on that group. Okay? You're going to get into your groups, and you're going to then tell me what side you want, and
No, what
Actually-
part you want.
actually what we're going to do, what part you want, and you're going to choose a side, and ultimately, we're just going to flip a coin if you both want the same side. If you want different sides, great. If you both want the same side of the debate, then we'll just have to flip a coin and see who gets the other side. Have a seat on a regular chair.
Announce the debate. No, we're here.
Okay,
This side, this side.
now, we're just doing a little practice here. You're debating, and again, bringing in your arguments in favor of your side. The question is, should the school day for the average high school start at 9 o'clock instead of 8 o'clock? Don't forget, when you debate, when you speak, you want to look at people and not paper as much as you can. You want to speak clearly. You want to project your voice a little. I'm projecting a lot right now, which you speak so softly.
Okay, let's do it.
You want to take about 2 minutes, 1 minute apiece. You ready?
You're on camera.
Hey.
And I'll give you the heads up back here if you're over time. I'll go like this, which means you got 1 minute. Okay?
Okay, here we go.
We're arguing in favor of late start times. One example would be that later start times would increase teenagers' engagement with school, as there will be more work during class. That was me today, because during science class I almost fell asleep because I didn't get enough sleep the day before, and we're in class track right now, I fell asleep again. Have higher grades right now. I don't have much grades because I really don't pay attention in class. I have an F in geometry because it's really hard. And, it would be more helpful if I had more time to sleep. Fewer tardies every morning. I wake up late because I was trying to get a few more minutes of sleep, and I'm always late to school on my first period class.
Okay, thank you, and
Here we go. Next opening person.
We're in favor of late school start, yes, because, well, if you start at school later, okay, so what he said, if you start school later, you work more efficiently because your brain will be more awake instead of waking up early, rushed. And yeah, you'll probably,
Anything about,
Getting more
oh
sleep.
yeah, kids will get more sleep than average, which is a good thing, so they can be more prepared and not rush out of their houses and forget their stuff. And sleeping more leads to healthy lives too, and better choices, and like catching the bus early so you won't miss school will be great. It's harder, you get back grades and stuff.
very good, nice job, okay,
Except
thank you.